and practical. Theoretical because there's an argument even among economic scholars arguing whether the state should be very involved in interventions, whether it should be more market-driven or more state-driven. So when you look at state-driven countries, you'll be looking at China. When you look at market-driven countries, you'll be looking at examples like America. But the truth is that a market-driven society led the world into the economic crisis and global financial meltdown of 2008. And you would also know that even state-driven societies have also led to crisis. And therefore, it's a mixed match that will lead us out. So when you see, and so this is preempting the discussions that will come, that when you see government intervening in markets, it is not new. Even in the capital of capitalism itself, the United States, remember that bailout, which is not included in any textbook of capitalism, had to be deployed in 2008 to save companies. Bailout is socialist, is communist, is welfarist, but how did it find its way into the lexicon of capitalism? It shows that no single system driven to the edge will deliver. So which is why you now find our people who are here to show the extent to what government wants to intervene in, why government is intervening, and the expected outcome of that. So on behalf of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, on behalf of all our directors here, on behalf of my colleagues, I bring you warm greetings from His Excellency the Governor, who has sanctioned this event and authorized that we should hold it. I welcome you, and I want to put on record that this event is not censored, meaning that you have the right to ask any question, but be professional, be respectful in communication. This event would last 90 minutes on the dot, and time have been allotted. And but where at the expiration of time we still have need, we still have some more questions happening, we may have to, from the background, think of what to do to help. I welcome you.
Thank you very much. We could do him a round of applause. I think he deserves that. And for those that are watching us or listening to us anywhere around the world today, just know that we are live on AKBC Radio, Planet FM, Tangsu FM, XL FM, Passion FM, Redemption FM, Inspiration FM, Comfort FM, and Memories FM. And on Facebook, you can join us via www.akwaibomstate.gov.ng. And also, we believe that you have a lot of questions. You can send them to us on the number 0906 1448115. That's on WhatsApp. You can also do WhatsApp on 0704 280 6485. And in due course, we will be opening the phone lines, and you would reach us on 0700 000 0001. Just 07, the rest is zeros and then 1. It's about time we delve into these insightful stories. We'll begin with a briefing from these commissioners. They will take 5 minutes each, and then the journalists in the house will take a swipe at them. They'll field the questions. We'll begin by taking 5 first. You agree? We are so many, we can't take everyone at once, but we'll take the first 5, and then we'll go to the audience and see what's on social media, and then we'll come back to you. Do we have a yes from all of you on that? I think so. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. And so now, let's serve you a platter of insightful stories about food sufficiency and security. The Commissioner for Agriculture, you may go first.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. And I'd like to start with this administration's policy on agriculture, which is to achieve food sufficiency and food security through improved nutrition, value chain development, and making agriculture the mainstay of the state's economy. So that is disaggregated into different components. And if you'd like to ask what His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom, has done in this regard since his inception in office, you'd find that the first thing that happened was that the Ministry of Agriculture was merged with the Ministry of Rural Development, which also had a component of cooperatives in it. So it was rural development and cooperatives, which now is merged to agriculture, which is now agriculture, rural development, and cooperatives. He was insightful in doing this. Why do I say so? Because we find that the cooperative system is a system that can be used to increase food production in every state. I've worked on a project where over 4,000 women cooperative groups were given agricultural loans for production, and I've seen how that system worked effectively. And at the time, the project loan happened to be, the loans given in that intervention happened to be one of the best performing loans. And what were we able to achieve in that instance? We saw that so many women, we were able to reach out to so many women under that platform. So, and I see that, why do I say His Excellency had foresight? Because once you put people into groups, they pool resources together. Labor is a major issue in agricultural production. They pool labor together, they can easily access finance. Their production will be increased. It will be now on a commercial basis, no longer on subsistent level. Then it's easy for them to access finance and cross-guarantee each other in the event that they are given access to finance. If they are given loans, for example, it's easy to recover such loans than if they were given individual loans, because they come together as a group. So why did he do this? He did this to make people come together more and increase production. Because when you come together as a group, the level of production you will do will be higher, the hectareage of land will be higher, and so many other factors. So that's why we had this verification of cooperative groups in the ministry some weeks back. And we said, if you are in a cooperative group, come for validation. And if you're also an individual farmer, you come for validation. We'll go for verification to find out where your farms are using GPS. And why are we doing this? So that when these inputs are given to you as cooperative groups, we can trace back and know that this is what was given to you. We can measure the impact of what was done. And when we give you whatever support, whether input, access to finance, or training, we can buy off you and reduce the effect of what the middleman is doing by reducing the profit margin of the farmers. And so many other benefits come in within that line. So we see that that was very visionary. Beyond that, he also went further to say that the local government area should gift lands to government for farming. And he also went further to say that local government areas should have farmers. Why is he saying you should give land to farmers? Because the land tenure issues have been major issues in agricultural production. So many people had issues with access to land. So when these lands are gifted to government and further given to people to farm with a lot of support, we know that we are going to increase production in that regard. Beyond that, he's gone further to collaborate with donor funders, the World Bank, the United States Department for Agriculture, French Development Agency, to see how to support agric. And how are they doing this? One of our the projects, Rural Access and Agricultural Marketing project called RAMP, is going to fix 486 roads. Them are rural feeder roads. Why is it important to fix these roads? Is that farmers will have easy access to enter their farms and also leave their farms with their agricultural produce. If the roads to the farms are good, it will reduce the cost of those food produce at farm gate prices. It's easy for you to buy from them at very good rates. And very good rates, I mean rates that are profitable to both the farmer and the consumer. The AKK's project, Kwabom COVID-19 Action Response Economic Stimulus, is a project which is also an input support project where farmers are given support in input and assets. And there's also market development in AKKs. What do I mean by market development? The farmer produces for the markets. And the project also wants to ensure that the people that are selling in the markets have as much comfort as possible. There was also the infrastructural development in that, beyond the development of markets, grading of roads. So much has been done in agriculture. I see she was showing me time. I hope I am still within 5 minutes. So 10 seconds. Okay, so all this is geared towards why His Excellency making agriculture the mainstay of the economy. It's also support the sustainable development goals of, number one is zero poverty, number two is zero hunger. When you reduce hunger, you reduce poverty. and then you have improved the livelihoods of people in the state.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture. It's about time we listened to Honorable Commissioner for Economic Development. Honorable Commissioner, sir, it's your time. 5 minutes. We've started.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. It is today's press briefing is very, very important in the life of this administration, because so far His Excellency the Governor has done so much that has impacted on the people directly within the last 10 months. And from the Minister of Economic Development, if you want, let me just start by saying that the Governor came prepared with his a clear cut on his economic blueprint, of which that was in the Arise agenda. And this was after that the Governor went into work, started work in NS. And if you look at what has in the world, in 2020 there was COVID-19, that brought so much economic crisis to the world. And the people of Nigeria were not left out. And the people of Akwa Ibom State, they were, involved too. And judging from of COVID-19 was the Russia-Ukraine, war, of which that alone, brought another economic crisis to the world. And while we were trying to get out of, as a government, trying to get out of that, there was fuel subsidy removal, in the country that, you see, you cannot, that brought hardship and high cost of living in the country. And as a result of that, many, as a forward-thinking government, the government has embarked on a couple of programs that has, to cushion the effect of this crisis. And one of them is this food sufficiency and security. Because I think when you state, people is going to reduce crime. The crime rate in the country, in the state, will be reduced, and people will be fed. And at the end of the day, the government, the government don't even sit down to get this done. The government is involved. They are involved in the provision of this food. These intervention areas, because I spoke about COVID-19 the other time. And what came up after COVID-19, the result intervention came from the government, whereby in Akwa Ibom State you have AKKs, at the center you have NGKs. Then this is AKKs in Akwa Ibom. And this we have been consciously, with the support of His Excellency, implementing the program that is touching, with different result areas. Because if you want to talk about, because this social intervention that we are looking at, we look at social intervention. What are we trying to get? What is the target of this social intervention? It is to alleviate poverty and provide financial aid to the vulnerable people in the society. And these vulnerable people, in like AKKs, has been taken care of effectively, in the sense that the real people has been identified, the vulnerable people has been identified through the social register. And there's like 5 intervention areas, 8 intervention areas. You have it is in Ministry of Agriculture, you have Ministry of Women Affairs, you have Ministry of, Akroima, to handle most of these intervention areas, either in terms of cash transfer, labor-intensive workforce, and the agricultural input distribution. All these are aimed at making sure that the people the economic lives are stimulated in the state. Then coming back to other intervention areas, that maybe in terms of housing, the Akwa Ibom state government is already embarking on Arise Homes. We are it's some compassionate homes. It is an intervention for the vulnerable people. And as at the time this program was initiated by the governor, he did not just sit down to initiate this program. He had his project team who went out to actually have the real people that needed this shelter. That he has intervened in the area of health care. Health care services, it is the belief of the governor that every home should be able to provide, every home should be able, every citizen should be able to have access to health care in our society, even in terms of nutrition and income support, transportation, and the rest. I don't know, is my time up?
Yes, sir.
Wow. So in all, the government has come in to save the people of Akwa Ibom State and is doing that earnestly, with the people in mind, the empathy and the rest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I will now listen to Right Honorable Dan Akpan, the Chairman, Bulk Purchase Agency. Your time starts now, sir.
Am I right? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I know I'm very familiar with most of the people sitting around me here, but then I've been explaining these things several times and at several places about Akwa Ibom State Bulk Purchase Agency. But first of all, let me introduce myself, because sometimes I find it difficult to explain the inventory of my success in any place they ask me to chair. But let me use this opportunity to thank the Excellency for giving me the opportunity to chair this wonderful agency. It's not a new agency to me, because when you check my background, you will know that I have done this for several years. I started with ExxonMobil. I left ExxonMobil as a procurement manager. So I know what it means when somebody said bulk purchase. And also joined politics. From 2005, became a local government chairman. And as a local government chairman, my relationship with the local people was something a lot of people clap hands or applauded for being a local government chairman in Surubium local government. I did so well. And I know I know the terrain. I know what they need. I know what they want me to do. And I thank the governor for giving me that opportunity to do that, because if I fail my governor for this objective, that means I've failed the whole Akwa Ibom State. And I would not like to fail. Not to talk about when I transcend myself to federal as a representative for 18 federal constituency. I did so well. I relate with with the grassroots in such a way that they know exactly. I know exactly what they want. So taking this position to galvanize their needs in order to distribute what they want, it's not a new thing to me. All over the world, I'm happy that I'm sitting very close to a farmer. Because the world today is a global economic world where you have production and the next thing you have marketing. If you have production, you don't have marketing, you cannot do anything. But I want to say that as far as the government, they will say they will not succeed. Politicians, they want to capitalize on it. They want to take over this thing. No, please. What I want to advise the public is that when you see a new program like this, yes, it might be difficult, it might be strange. Please try as much as possible to support the program first. Pray for it. Allow it to be tested so that you know whether the program will work. Don't just start saying the program will not work. Because so many people say, this program is politicians that they want to, it will not work. But I want to tell you, this program is going to work. Whether the devils like it or not, this program is going to work. So I thank all of you for coming here to maybe ask questions about this program. Thank you so much.
Much. I was hoping you would all say amen because the conclusion sounded like a prayer. You don't want to say amen. Okay, thank you very much, discussants. You have been generous with your thoughts, and thank you for managing the time as you've just done. Now, gentlemen of the press, the ball is now in your court. Ooh, so many hands. Okay, so we're taking 5 first, like we agreed to. Please remember to turn on your mic before you ask your question. Introduce yourself and the medium that you represent. Be kind with your words even as you ask your honest questions. Thank you. I saw that hand first. Please, yes, here. Sir, the gentleman in white, please.
Checking.
You have 1 minute, please. No explanation of questions, please. 1 minute, and like I did to them, I would show you this once your time is up. You can go.
My name is Kufre Udo from Tangso 102.7 FM. Well, because of what I do, I would like to use our dialect. We are all Akwa Ibom people.
Please go ahead.
Okay. The feedback channel, because I think from interaction senior Monogo, that's one of the major problems. Monogo say the policy makers and then memunti iba between them and the people in the rural areas. Then the report say the policy makers say I said that Kempore Kego Monsepen and take away them, whereas Mpore Siki Guo Monsena and take away them. So, in this aspect, like the chairman, Bulk Purchase Agency, Tangabo Kiminikim, Kepaniko this time around, even the development Mara, the program I work. One of the things that begin no work at the feedback channel. So, the feedback channel about this time around, so that for Dion, Kempo Kino on no so Toibuntum, who Toibuno de Kebo, Kidaka Monopedi Narantebo Kebo, Sesson Taiti.
So, feedback channels. Thank you. Okay, you'll take that. Okay. Sir Amos, please.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. One to the Commissioner for Economic Development and the other question to the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture and Rural Development. First, I would like to know Commissioner for Economic Development, would like to know the numbers of vulnerable persons the social register has been able to capture in Akwa Ibom State towards enhancing food sufficiency. And secondly, to the Commissioner for Agriculture, I would like you to further expatiate on the benefits of having cooperative societies driving the vision of food sufficiency in Akwa Ibom State.
Menye mimen kere conforma na menye mimen no witare mboke agriculture utangi kausin fertilizer ni nang adam fertilizer ri dari nye ri ben kemmo mem koingwang akpakpa ubo akpa ukudok ewi rat kemmo utangi kausin dede mambok ene ke jam kwase kame kabisong ego di komba kara tractor kwase kame kabisong utangi kausin ewi rat kemmo kuket se for tanga dem bene ku ko babante tanga ko bang mbo irai ko do policy bon men no Commissioner for Economic Development sambo eke wonto mimi ke ebo uda eko license ke mpo ikan nye di ikan anekete ta mi an po mi ha gu fene kan na ke Akwa Ibom State. So tangi ko sin de policy de license de na kemmo ibi yi kanke kwa ibom idagake social register ekeran mo mu wene de egwet family heriri ongoke village heriri ongoke ariki no pa monse governor songo ke woro wona ka ke eda se mpo irokimo ina mana mpo de foro dok boro idagade mbok eke dari edi yongo monsi du wene si jemu fok a governor apopo anomi mbok meku nganefo ete de meniria honorable Dana Akpan eke bondom na governor ke na maku right amake de no rosi no nkoti no nkari bere ke riwi ki na nga ke chi ro wo ka ke bok pe ma fo bon nkari pe ma fo bon rosi pe ma fo bon nkoti nsi de na ka ke esianwo ke u kan isongo ajo mi ba nye gu no fie ne de adem moni dia de ne de kem ira se ke code capital flight ademe moni dia fo ben ne ke de memi ne de ke kpogo de so bono ki ro nje ku ko no ke kpogo du ku bono ndem fen moni ro nje so ka isu we ne mbok monsi de meni dia de fo kodo vendors ake dari esio ake ka uro ke da songo adi mono gwe bi dari ri on na fo ke da sion usongo fo ke da sion ake na engerie mbok jamman u bib de nse ndidi afo no ngoke ku kan achiri ronde afo ke pari de mefo atomuro uro si de ku fok kem moni rongo de wontom ki no ngam mo uro sintan. Are you satisfied with the quality of the food you are distributing? That's my first set of questions.
Thank you. A close chapter. Okay, Mighty George, please.
Yeah, it's on. All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning, honorable commissioners. Good morning, Right Honorable Dan Akpan. I think the questions I wanted to ask have been asked already, but I would start with the Commissioner for Agriculture. Some time ago, some people were looking for cassava stems and, seedlings to plant in their private farms. I want to know what the procedure is. Are they to buy those? Are they paying for them? Is government going to give these things for free, just to encourage these farmers, these private farmers? That's one question. For the Commissioner for Economic Development, you talked about a blueprint. We also know that there is a special advisor on economic development as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know how you are able to synergize in terms of these activities, because I know you both sit down in the ESCO. And the blueprint, who is in custody of that, who came up with this, what was the input of the commissioner, what was the input of the special advisor as well. And the social register, who is in custody of this social register, how was it formed? Just to replicate what Madam Comfort had said. We heard something about the PAs in the various local government areas in custody of names in the social register. Why were they appointed to be the ones that will compile this social register in these various wards? And then to Right Honorable Dan Akpan, we need to ask again what the policy thrust is of the rise of the Akwa Ibom Bulk Purchase Agency. Is it to share free food? Is it to go get food at a cheaper rate and supply to the, the marketers to sell at subsidized rates? At what point do we get to that stage? Because at this stage, we're just hearing free food distribution and all of that. We all know how short-lived this will be. And also, what will be the frequency of the distribution of this free food? Is it a one-time affair? These people on this social register are supposed to come back and get some more after a month. How long are we going to be feeding them with these food items? That's all for now. Thank you.
Abasirake, please.
Good morning, honorable commissioners. My name is Abasirake. I write for the Dune News Plus. So I'd like to start with you, the chairman of the Bulk Purchase Agency. I would like to know the collection point, the distribution point for this food that will be sent to communities, how many distribution points do we have across the state? Would like to know that. Then, to the Commissioner for Economic Development, we've talked about interventions time and again. AK case is an intervention. This too is also an intervention. When are we going to talk about a long-term sustainable economic plan for Akwa Ibom State? When are we expecting that? That's number one. Number two, okay, this other one is for the Commissioner for Agriculture. We have had a case, we have had reasons to ask, where are we on the trajectory to food security? We have an intervention plan. So where are we? How many tons of cassava are we producing currently? What is the target? How many tons can feed Akwa Ibom State? So that we know where we are starting from and where we are going to. So give us data on this so that we can easily follow your agri plan. So we also had the partnership, on the issue of partnership with foreign donor agencies. We've had cases of benefits capture in the past, where political exposed persons take projects designated for some communities and divert them to pass through their respective communities. We have one, for instance, in Sretai local government. If you go through the whole of the market at the headquarters of DOT, but under the last administration, we had a market in the people of Nsretai. Someone took it to her community, and the market now is in the bush. So what are we doing to forestall cases of benefits capture in this project?
Very much, everyone. We'll now go to answer the questions before we go to social media, and then we'll come back to all of us. The first question from Kufre of Tangsio was about feedback channel. Honorable Commissioner, I'm not sure who you would...
In existence, beautiful your idea is you must intermittently check the results. So feedback is critical, which is why, for example, we are doing this. Again, most of you run live radio shows and you have callers calling. But again, which is why the Ministry of Information is also having a partnership with all the people who run the radio shows to be sure that we can track per time what people are saying about this and relay the agency through to the PAs who are there. But again, there are local government chairmen who are in existence, but we do know that those are formal feedback processes. And if it is compromised, assuming that all of these people were to compromise to frustrate it, so the question would be, how else do you get your information? So certainly, you do know that at the Ministry the other day, and he listed what the challenges are, and we forwarded to those people where he also mentioned about, and we get those feedback, and we try to feedback again to you, which is an ongoing process. So feedback is not stagnant. So while we have the channelized feedback, which is their own independent feedback, which is why we are having this. So this is a feedback process too, where we are hearing from you. Away from what we're doing here, we have relationships with all of you in the media. We have citizens reporters whom we send. We have information officers in all the 31 local government areas, and we make sure that, and some of these people go incognito into these communities. That's how we were able to know the villages and communities that had issues when we had, when we sent the last set of palliatives that government sent through the village committee. Remember that we are stated village committee. We made sure that even members of the opposition parties were members of the sharing committee. We still went ahead to find out in some of the communities where these things did not go right, because we have both the known and unknown means of making sure that these things get there. Where they don't, we also have a way of tracking to make sure that we can fix it. So that's that for that.
This came from Mr. Amos for the economic development. Okay, so your turn, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Moss actually asked about the number of people that we have in the social register, as in the vulnerable people. And before I tell you the number, I want to tell you that the social register is well structured. It's structured in such a way that you have it is broken down into villages, wards, local government. That is the makeup of all that is called state social register. And the total number of people that we have in state social register counting is we have about 2.3 million people in social register. So, and two as in individuals. Then when you talk about the households, we have about 600,000 households, and that is what we have in the social register, and that is what we've been using for various interventions that requires the usage of a social register. Thank you. Okay, because that one will, how they were selected, that is how people in the social register were populated. It is not just today. Social register has been there for the past 8 years. It was not started by His Excellency Governor Umoino, but what he did was that when he came on board, he said that social register should be validated. It should be expanded to capture people that has fallen below. I mean that are, some people that are no more within the poverty line were taken out, and the people that have fallen, below this thing were brought into the social register. And how people are selected from the social register is very, very clear. It is a very transparent process, in that there's what we call community-based targeting. That is what is adopted. Don't forget that World Bank, anything that involves World Bank, they are very, very thorough. Social register is, the community-based targeting is what was used to bring people into the social register. And you have SUCO, State Organizing Coordinating Unit, who is working with NASCO, National Social Safety Net Coordinating Office in Abuja. Okay, and we work together, and they have staff across the local government, of which they go all out to villages to meet with the village heads, meet with the, to pick these people. And apart from picking these people, they will see where you live and take the coordinates of your house, such that if somebody wants to view Mr. A, who is in social register from World Bank office, they can use that coordinate and narrow it down to your village, to your house, and now know if this person is truly a vulnerable person. Because if you are vulnerable, the type of house that you are living, the type of this insanity, whatever that you are living, will now call you. Will say that you are really you belong to the poorest of the poor, and you should be captured into the social register. So this has been going on, and it is a huge cost attached to it to have people in the social register. And when they started this process, the enumerators used to come to your villages here seated, and you see people chasing them away, and they will come back to the office. So the security risk of coming to those villages, it took them time, for people to start giving them attention, for their names to be brought into this social register. And the social register is not meant for Akwa Ibom State. You have national social register and you have state social register. National social register, like when you had some people, some people received some payments recently under Renewed Hope. That was taken from the state social, federal social, national social register. The composition of national social register are those registers that are supplied to the NASCO office, from the states. So whenever they want to have this intervention done, using the social register, because these are the most vulnerable people, they don't work. They cannot even, some of them are not schooled, not even some of them, they are not schooled. Some are farmers. So when you now have intervention, you have a crisis, economic crisis, visiting a country, visiting a state, those are the target, because those ones might not have source of livelihood. So they would now fall back to social register to pick these people and get them empowered. Thank you.
Okay, Amos asked concerning having cooperative societies drive food sufficiency in Akwa Ibom State. And I'd like to say that before now, most of our farmers, and even now, some of them still do farming on a subsistent level. It means I farm, feed my family, what's left I sell in the markets. What's the essence of asking them to come together to form groups? Is that in the first instance, if you want to attain food sufficiency, you have to increase production. And coming together as groups means that they are going to have a common group farm, which will be larger in hectareage compared to if that farm were run by an individual. So the level of production and then the use of machines will be facilitated, because if your land size is bigger, it's easier for you to use machines than on very fragmented land holdings. So in terms of using machinery, that will be enhanced. In terms of production, the total land size will be increased. And then after you have produced, what happens is there will also be an offtake arrangement that those things will be bought off you so that you don't have a glut in the market. So you don't have fears as to whether your level of production will be accommodated in the markets. Because sometimes farmers face the frustration where if everybody is doing something and then there's no off-taking arrangements, when the time for harvest comes and they all harvest at about the same time, they sell it in the market, there will be a glut, means that there is excess of that commodity in the market, which naturally drops the price. So if there is excess of that commodity, what does government do at this time so that the farmer doesn't lose out? Is to have an off-take arrangement with them as long as you are in those groups. And in the process, also train them on how to do processing such that beyond selling it in the country, it can have export value. So there's a lot to be done in those lines. The federal government tried it using the FADAMA system. They called it FADAMA. There was FADAMA 2, there was FADAMA 3, where they aggregated farmers and then they grew. The particular crop they used was cassava in those groups, and it was a good model that worked. So anyone that adopts it with a lot of monitoring and following up on the groups, ensuring that they have less issues, conflicts, and they can access finance, training, and they have input support, you see that those structures work very efficiently.
Please, you take the next question, K. Kongkanyan. That was the one from
okay,
Comfort. Yes.
Mana. So she said, "Akebe fertilizer. Abamo ke mbari bante ke itang ye kikomba kara posong. Ema is itong utoing wang the ministry ke flag of the first planting season. Flag of our ke mai bo kutoing wang is wami atong ema itong ke ema nam ke match. Ene good metoing wang eba kemburo that they want to call it cooperative so that it doesn't sound too. We don't speak too much English. E good mo kemburo do. Ema itong utoing wang ado. Initially, you will not require fertilizer. Fertilizer yadi, no more at some point. Most times, what government does, if fertilizer said, "Oh, my benefit, you put again my wood one tom." Government say, "Okay, okay, I put one man am ya, amana moromba." Me toy one fertilizer. So apart from the state government, said no, no, me toy one fertilizer. Then it mean a program in my federal government go to National Agricultural Growth Scheme. A face scheme. Edo ye me no bonsito iwa. Mpoto iwango iya ngono mo okpoiwa ino fertilizer aye fene go to dry season farming fere be so no fertilizer, so they want the AKKs go aya ngono pa on the intervention the World Bank collaborate state government iya ngono meto iwan fertilizer because akweto iwa ke kwa Ibom aya kama fertilizer na mayema na awak output, that's so two things determine increase in production apart from the increase in land size. Let me address it now. Currently, farmers in 5 to 7 tons per hectare. They're working with the research institutes, IIT and the rest of them. You make it the current some of the cuttings, minimum, Game Changer, 419, Ayaya, Baba 70, Obasanjo, there are so many of them. Amatono from 22 to 30 tons per hectare. So that's what our target is. So we're getting 5 to 7 tons per hectare. Look at what the difference is. That difference, apart from the improved cutting, and fertilizer, boost the production. So if you were doing 5 tons per hectare, then you 22 to 30. The difference is much. So these are local boiwa. I don't see 5 to 7 tons per hectare, but this other improved variety, I say no, from 22 and above. So that's what we are working on.
Maybe you're making me add mida KKB in all these fertilizers.
Matang akporo we know that ma come for my I won't ministry no fertilizer. But the first planting is not on because when you plant cassava, for example, you may not need it immediately. After some weeks of growth, then you can apply. And you don't you need fertilizer, you need fertilizer as well, and other crops. So no fertilizer before as we progress. Go April bam. Just give it some time. Tractor.
Yes.
Currently, the ministry is giving tractors to farmers for land preparation at a very subsidized rate. Ado tractor, they give back up. His Excellency, we are working on setting up the equipment leasing yard where more tractors will be brought in and farmers will be supported for land preparation. That's why we had to place emphasis on the group formation because I forgot 0.5 hectare. But if the more land size you have, the better for you to use machines. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll go to
input
support.
How to access many do ministry say communicate the politicians.
Oh, okay. Immediate database of our farmers and farmers in different groups. All farmers association, in your commodity groups, in your maize, in your cassava, in your oil palm, in your rice, all crops, in your cocoa, all the crops, in your poultry, goats, pigs. So all that database is with the ministry. So when we want to reach out to these farmers, groups, they have representatives across the 31 local government areas. So we reach out to them from their group heads. Okay, this time. So you can trace. Like last year, we gave rice, Faro 44 to rice farmers in rice producing local governments. And they came back and they said they were doing 5 to 6 tons as against 2 to 3 tons that they were doing previously. So we reach out to them through their groups. That's why it's important for farmers identify if you're doing something. You can't be a standalone farmer. You need to belong to the group of people that are also doing what you're doing. Aquaculture, all those groups are represented in the states. So we reach out to them in the local government areas through their group heads. And it's not just the names they give us. We have extension agents who verify that these people are actually growing these things in the local government areas that they reside.
Thank you. So for your border on where you got the food, comfortable me for body and for seke distribute. Then a mark economic development will answer on the license and lights, the capital of lights. Yes, but let's hear from the chairman about purchasing.
No, man. Yeah, I'm thanking because quality. Quality rice. Good one, after wedio, abakentan, eti rice. But the agents you choose the annual rice me monitor. Although we've not started fully. Say for credo, say for saying in order. I don't bun second and flack off. And all the local government chairmen and make sure the rice say no order of good quality and to be to equal my grandson of very good quality. So my enemy tongutum Nangrero. Where is the data to show that get all rice and you will ikidaro yinigida in amutum in umbrella rice. Immediate order get all rice and tan. The reward for another somewhere will get rice tan. You know, and I do quality make sure that get all quality rice, I do quality gari, I do quality beans. So that it has to do with life. So we cannot in capacity say no quality rice or quality gari or quality. So I want to tell you that anybody at one of your going rice than borrow agent rice than check. I might check for Temari no Gary Tanaba, immiscible young monsieur, because governor particularly about that. And my brother also talk about okay.
The days of the week that the markets are not open, so the people fall back to redemption at the shops.
For those that are watching us, our WhatsApp number is 0906-144-8115. You can also do WhatsApp on 0704-280-6485. Now, the questions that I already have from WhatsApp are these. Please pay attention as I take them. Where and how to carry out the registration? What is the criteria and qualification to register? That is from Utebe Som in Uyo. And the other one, how do citizens access the food stuff? That's from Samuel Etuk Jr. in Etinan. Another one from Udo in Uyo is, what makes social register a secret document that shouldn't be displayed publicly? How is the social register being compiled, and how do non-indigents, that is taxpayers, benefit? That's from Samuel in Ibesipo. I hope do I need to take that again, sirs? Oh, you're okay. How is the social register being compiled, and how do non-indigents that are taxpayers benefit from it? That's from Samuel in Ibesipo. We have another one, the food bulk purchase intervention of the state government. How do workers in the private sector, like private schools, benefit in terms of easy access to the purchase of tickets or fundia in Parenin? So you got that? That's for you. And the next one is, what is the way forward for farmers who are asked to register for agricultural loans? That's from Joy Francis in Sirubium. Ma'am, I'll take that one again for you. What is the way forward for farmers who were asked to register for agricultural loans? Ememobong says, how do people know their names and businesses are on the register? How do people know that their names and businesses are on the register? That's from Ememobong Solomon. Still from WhatsApp, please, to what extent are the fishing communities in Uran and seafoods included in the drive towards food sufficiency and security? Ishit from Uran. To what extent are the fishing communities included? So Ishit also asks, what are the measures in place to tackle multiple high taxation and extortion in our local markets? Economic development, so that's for you still, I think. Measures to tackle multiple high taxation and extortion in our local markets to mitigate hiking prices. So another one is, what is the main responsibility of bulk purchasing agents? So that's for you. Is answered already. How long will the program last for? Well, you also answered that. If the person who is in control of the foodstuff is trying to hijack the foodstuff, what will be the next line of action to caution the person? Basema Daniel from Obodokara. If somebody is trying to hijack, what is the way to caution that person? Okay, so from email, we have a retired director of Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Peter Umana, attracted live bird market and animal clinic facilities to the state, which had been completed and domiciled at ADP over 2 years now. These facilities are not put to use. It says, Honorable Commissioner, sir, what's your take on this, please? Do you need me to take that? Okay. Why are the children roaming the streets of Uyo trying to make a living? Why are children roaming the streets of Uyo trying to make a living? Why is food items such as gari, fufu, cocoa yams, water leaves, etc. skyrocketing? Are we importing these items with dollars? Okay. In agriculture, what are we doing to make sure agriculture is actually attractive, thereby returning our energetic youth to the farm? Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture, there's a lot coming for you. Who are the people benefiting from the bulk purchase program? The vulnerable, I would say, but the chairman would say more on that. what is the ESG agenda of Akwa Ibom state government, and how does it tie up to the global expectations? How is the ESG agenda of Akwa Ibom state government, and how does it tie up to the global expectations? Two more and we're done. What is the strategy to reduce multi-dimensional poverty from the current 71% across various sectoral interventions? Commissioner for Information, please take note of that one. And that was from Udeme Togoyen. He says, what is the strategy to reduce multi-dimensional poverty from the current 71% across various sectoral interventions? That's all I have for now. And Commissioner for Agriculture, take the floor.
I think I had so many, so I'll just take the ones that I quickly remember. Fishing community. Someone asked what interventions are government putting in place to support. That's for artisanal fishermen. I believe that's the question. That would mean the major challenge that they have for those doing artisanal fishing had been that of security. And thanks to His Excellency setting up the Ministry of Internal Security and Waterways. So we're working in collaboration with them to see how to reduce the incidence of insecurity in the waterways, because when we have security in the waterways, then we can talk about doing things for these people that will be lasting interventions, such as setting up cold rooms and drying centers where they can store their fish in the event that they do not finish selling all of it, or drying them, that's processing it so that they do not lose value for the fish. So in those two basic areas, they will also be given support in by provision of fishing nets. Government has been doing that over time for artisanal fishermen. Some of them also ask for fishing boats. So it's a process. We'll start one after the other, and then we'll meet up with the other demands. Someone asked the question about the live bird market and the animal health center in Akadep. Those were done for us in by the federal government, and it was not fully completed in the sense that some things were missing, but in last month, most of that has been completed. So we're going to commence the use of the live bird market and the animal health center. Animal health center is like a clinic for veterinary services where you can walk in with your sick animals and get medical attention. Talking about what are the things we're doing to attract youths into farming, because we have found that many young people see that there's a lot of drudgery in farming and they do not want to be involved. But over time, we have come to, by research, found out that most of them have interest in vegetable farming. When I mean vegetable farming, I mean cucumbers, pepper, tomatoes, things that are not other cassava and other things. And some of them also have interest in livestock farming, like poultry especially. So what we do is we have a lot of young people in vegetable farming. So we're encouraging them by, first of all, we found out the groups that they are in. We've made a lot of emphasis on group formation, because we're working in collaboration with the Ministry of Trade and Investment to see how to put our tomato puree factory to use. So most of them who are doing tomatoes will be those who will be made to supply the stock to that puree factory. Beyond that, most of them are also encouraged to do cucumbers. Most of them are encouraged to do pepper, whatever they can do in the line that really interests them, which we have found out that most of them prefer vegetable farming to other, and poultry farming to other types of farming. So in the area where they have interest, we encourage them. And what's that level of encouragement? To give them improved seeds. Like we're going to soon share improved pepper seeds to those groups, like we did last planting season, where we shared to different groups, and our pepper is doing things that do not require so much labor. That's what we found out about the young people. They don't want to exert much labor in whatever they are doing. So we encourage them to do the type of farming that where their interest lies. So someone also asked a question on, there are a lot of street children roaming the streets. Well, the incidence of street children has been an issue, not only in Akwa Ibom, it's a social welfare thing. So the Ministry of Social Welfare is also working at seeing how to get these children off the streets. I remember that was a topic for discussion some weeks back to see how to get them off the streets.
Soon after he speaks, we'll be taking calls and we'll go to Twitter Space too. So please, let's get that ready.
Where are we now?
The question on the retired director of it, okay, about 2 years, the ESG of ESG agenda.
And how to ameliorate the multidimensional poverty.
It's okay. For how to ameliorate the thank you very much, dimensions in line with what it was meant for, the contributions that were done by the people of Akwa Ibom State. And with the infrastructures that he is currently creating, I think at the end of the day, this is going to stimulate the economy because people will be gainfully employed this will checkmate the multi-dimensional poverty as reported by the NBS. Recently, you see the renewed spirit in Akwa Ibom State for us to get back to Ibaka Deep Seaport, and that has been the road construction has started. That is going to take all the way from Mbo. I mean, from what do you call it? The village there. Sorry, I've forgotten. Not Mbo. Mbo. From the village there. Unyaga to the deep sea port there. And recently, you saw the technical committee had a meeting with His Excellency, and so many things has been, document has been signed, and the commencement of engaging the investors has started. It is part of the thing that is going to create so much jobs in Akwa Ibom State. Then beyond that, the focus that His Excellency is having in, under agriculture is another one, because if you look at the policy of His Excellency, recently he has directed everybody to go back to farming, because that is the way forward. And you can be gainfully employed, through farming, because when you farm and you uproot your, you harvest your produce and sell in the market, that will surely put money into your pocket, and put money into your pocket. So these, all these policies that the governor is consciously handling is aimed at reducing reducing the multi-dimensional poverty. Then in terms of ESG, the government, the policy thrust of the government is very, very clear on still on infrastructure. And by the time these infrastructures are developed, and this is going to, create employment, like I said. The governor too has really looked at the intervention area of which that is what is done beyond Akwa Ibom State or beyond Nigeria. The government cannot just, government intervene for people. So that is why you see the governor coming in with so many intervention areas like the AKKs, the food and
1.0. And if you want to call us, the number is 0700 0000001. So it's just 07, all the zeros, and then 1. So I will take the first caller, please. Technical departments, please go.
So while we're waiting for the call, my brother spoke to the issue about multidimensional poverty. And the critical issue is that all of us agree that multidimensional poverty exists at the rural areas. And when you look at it, you see that it is ruralification that leads to all the environment. So when you see that people in that area are the most affected, that is why the governor is focusing on the rural area. So his ruralization policy. Do we have a call on the line?
Hello, yeah, please hold on. Hello, yes, you're live with us on Arise Scorecard. What's your name?
This is Samuel calling from Uzbekistan.
Samuel. You're calling from where, please? Where are you calling from? Please
Hello?
be more louder, thank you.
I am calling that from
It's thank you very much. What's your question? Your question, Samuel. If you've lost that one, please, let's continue with you until we get another one. Hello. We're hoping that these lines are friendly. Hello, is anybody on the line?
Okay, so
Commissioner, sir.
So looking at that, you see that the governor is very conscious about this, and so attacking development at the rural areas is the first strategy to ameliorate multidimensional poverty. Because when you look at and how is he doing that? He's doing that through infrastructure, security, agriculture, and so every policy of this administration doesn't start from the urban center, it starts from the rural area and comes. So he says he's connecting the dots. So what does he mean by that? If you do roads, and at the last ISCO he said, as an administration, he will not do political roads. He will only do roads that have economic value.
Apologize for that, sorry.
So he would only construct roads that have economic value. What's the economic value? It must link to help farmers bring their produce to a market. It must help bring goods and services from the rural areas to a central market. Again, like the Commissioner for Agri said, not just helping them bring out, it must also allow government go to meet them, because he operates a policy where if Muhammad cannot go to the mountain must find a way of going to Muhammad. And so to that extent, when you look at the fact that along the economic, social, and governance platforms, you're going to see what are the economic things he's doing. 112 billion has been spent on road construction. Most of these roads are in rural areas, and the ones that are in the urban areas are linking with the rural areas to be able to help the people bring their goods and services to a centralized market so that you can have fair pricing.
Please, can you hold your thoughts? Since we are having trouble with the calls, please do WhatsApp, please. And the WhatsApp number is 0906 144 8115. We're having trouble with these calls. Please go to WhatsApp and send your message. 0906 144 8115. Another one is 0704 280 6485. Please send your message there. So now, while you're answering that question, when we see this program, it says that this is an intervention. This is an intervention. And I think Abasifrike did ask about the long-term economic plan to make sure that we have actual food production, something sustainable, something we can depend on, because like so many people have asked, how far would this go? How frequent will these foods be given?
Yeah, that's why they are seated the way they are seated.
Okay,
You're seated first with intervention.
Okay.
Which is, because at first, you must stabilize your people to be able to have them listen to you. So, when you look at the bulk purchase agency, it is first off, as it is today, an intervention agency. But when you leave there, you're going to talk about agriculture, which is talking about, you're now going to the medium term and the long term plan, which is increase food production. You now get to the point of sufficiency, you get to security. And my sister spoke to me the other day, and we're even looking at what will take us, which is what Abasifreke spoke about, what will take us to export status. Because you can't be exporting if you don't have sufficient. So when you're looking at bulk purchase, the governor is conscious of the fact that as we speak now, with COVID, with removal of subsidies, our people have been plunged into higher levels of poverty. And the first way to reduce that is to attack food, to make sure that you have food, because if people don't eat, they don't have hope. So that is the first duty of the interventionist agency called bulk purchase. Now, but when you leave the bulk purchase, you're going to be talking, which is why Ministry of Economic Development and Agri are working together, because the economic indices available must help the agri sector, and the information from the agri sector must feed back to the economic sector where they're able to track.
I can hear you. Hello. What's your name and where are you calling from? Sir, please. Please turn off your mic. Thank you. Hello. I've lost that one. Please.
Problems with call. So let's resort to.
Yes, and there's a question here
WhatsApp.
that's yet to be answered. I think Mighty George asked about the blueprints and who keeps it and who contributed to the
advisor.
Yes, he also asked about who is in custody of the social register and the procedure for getting farm inputs.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Hello.
I can hear you. We can all hear you.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry about that. Please, let's resort to messages.
Foreigner,
sir.
please, can you discontinue with
Please discontinue
calls?
with the calls. Thank you. Sir.
Thank you very much. The blueprint of the governor, economic blueprint of the governor, is not custodied by a particular person. And this is the document of the governor. And the governor did not produce this document alone. The input of the entire Akwa Ibom people were brought in for that document to come. And if you look at the content of the document, it covers all the sectors, economic sectors in Akwa Ibom State. So whether it is kept in, he asks a question whether it is kept by the economic advisor and what is the relationship of Minister of Economic Development and the Office of the Economic Advisor. We are working as a team. The governor has been encouraging teamwork. I am the Commissioner for Economic Development. Then you have Economic Advisor with a clear-cut role to advise the governor on economic matters.
Is the document such that citizens can see, can
yes,
access?
it has been printed out. It is accessible. It is it is everywhere. If you go to government website, it is there. It is not a secret document that you have to keep only for, classified number of these things.
Thank you very much. Commissioner for Agriculture, the next question was the procedure for getting farm inputs.
Okay, the farm inputs. First of all, I think he asked whether the inputs were given for free. And the answer to that question is yes. We share inputs free. And he said the procedure for getting farm inputs. The way we do it is to be able to manage the logistics so that it doesn't give us too much trouble. So what we do...
Please hold that thought.
Oh, okay.
Somebody on Twitter Space is on. Please, let's listen to that.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Go ahead.
Please go ahead. We can hear you.
Good morning. My name is Sakama. My name is Sakama from Uyo, and my question is, what is the government doing to encourage young farmers, and are there any grants programs for these young farmers in the States? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner for Agriculture, you will take that and continue with your thoughts. Thank you.
It's not only for young farmers. We're going to have financial support for farmers in the States.
There will be grants.
Young
or
people
is there grants?
inclusive. There will be grants for the financial, rephrase it to me, access to finance. Why do I use access to finance? Because it might be a grant or it might be a loan, depending on what the intervention is at the time. His Excellency had said that farmers will be given support through Ibom Fadama Microfinance Bank, support for their different farm enterprises. That's why we encourage farmers who have at least up to 1 hectare of farmland, because if you have 0.2, that's too small for you to. Because when you say farmers, now let's begin to get some. They will reel out the conditions for people to be able to participate. So you would know that if you have a garden at the back of your house, you may not qualify. Yes. So you would know what land size would admit you to participate. So the conditions will be reeled out. We don't have them.
There's a real concern here. We had a first question, and the person was asking about how to make agriculture attractive to young people. Now, this is a young person from Twitter also asking about what can be done to encourage them. So it feels like there is an active group that's interested. So
in farming,
is there, in farming, is there a particular program that your ministry is putting together and saying this is for young
people?
farmers?
Yes. We're we are currently working on it. I don't want to spill the beans, so we'll leave it. When we are out with a complete picture of what we want to do for them, then we'll reel it out. It will include support, financial support, because support is the pivot of agricultural production. It will include support in input. It will also offtake. It will include an offtake arrangement, so which they are going to be excited about. So when that is ready, we'll bring it out. And then he said something about inputs.
Yes, the procedure for getting inputs.
I think that you had mentioned that if people are interested in agriculture, they should come together. So the first thing would be for the young people to come together and form a hub. If they form a hub, can they approach you in your office? Is there a directorate they can come to?
Yes, you come to room 99 if you are intending on forming cooperative groups. You come to room 99, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, and you'll be given all the assistance that you require to put that together.
But also, the Commissioner for Information, I have to ask this one. Do young people really need to be encouraged, or does it have to be attractive? What's your thought on that? Because if you are choosing careers, it's based on some passion you have, a conviction in your heart. But the questions that are coming feels like people want to be romanced before they now pick up agriculture. Is that tenable, please?
Well, it's the duty of government to look at long-term sustainability plans, and I'm not sure that people would just sit on their own and join the army or join the police. The same way we look at the fact that we need people to protect others, so we begin to make those things look allurable. We begin to make sure that those exercises, those professions are available. We talk to them about it. That's why you have career counseling. And when you also look at the fact that in our country, circumstances have made young people despondent, then government, especially that led by His Excellency the Governor, is committed to attracting young people back to the farm, and which is why he's been talking to them. And like the Commissioner said, if there are young people, not if there are young people who are interested, if they're up to 20 or 50, form yourselves into a cooperative group and go register, and then you can begin to have access to.
Let me add to that. For the attracting young people into farmers, we reactivated the Young Farmers Club in secondary schools. How did I get to study agri? It was interest. Yes, I like natural science, and I know children have preferences. So if you introduce them at an early age, and we've also shared inputs to secondary schools, primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions. So we started from the primary level to the secondary. So when we have those Young Farmers Club that have been activated in the schools, and the children are shown the importance of agriculture, so they start at that level and build that interest. So you see, it can be sustained over time, and then they will be encouraged to participate.
Thank you very much. The question, where are we on the trajectory on food production? The target, and he was asking about how many tons you can feed. You did touch on it, but would like to know if there is a data that would explain that better.
Using to say that we call farmers and cooperative groups to come for verification is to be able to trace back input support. That if we give support to XYZ cooperative group, this is your location, this is where your farm is. We can always come back and see what you have done and know whether what you have done is as expected. What we are doing, like I said, with the local varieties, 5 to 7 tons per hectare, we intend to do more, from 20 tons per hectare to 30. With the improved varieties we are getting from the Research Institute. And Mighty George asked, are those inputs sold? I said, no, they're free. We've shared them to public schools. And recently the principals were saying, the public school, the boarding schools, we want to be able to feed our students from our farms. And I said, that's a good deal. That's what government expects. So we've given them, the ones that have boarding schools, we've given them more input support. So if they want to feed children, they can quickly harvest something from their farms and
Thank you. We're back to the live audience. If you have a question, please. I'd like to see your hand. MC Governor, please. You have 1 minute to run.
Bok winamata ito analysis able ke social register nyeneba ke 2.3 million people, household of 600. Bok ke yimidi na pork purchase agency ebida I monitor volunteers ifang iba ebida ikribo ke vendor semoy ke select me the purpose is not defeated. Near we found of a matter kutum Ministry of Agric a time mini database of farmers. So that young farmers if as we speak, how many registered farmers do we have in Akwa Ibom? So that I can be young member can feed the marketing in Niagame, bang in this one o'clock ibenekidem bokesian and then vendors me full of a young boy say kedeb mom bomb even nediam in onion me kong in a bong statement. What is the long-term plan? I can boge soon. Make me feed them without depending on neighboring states. Bok. But about then that time ko ya wabo. Mpom fen amana kem fana mini daro ado kenkanga adisendo mboke na anteno ebene no bi ngini ba ke street ngini mi si nam documentary si doke fagi bi member me wang ini mpom isi some mono wom. So strength for volunteers for niegero. So for me, I'm from your profile of Otanga, many experience is something you've done before. I hear you guiding on plans of government in terms of monitoring, in terms of quality, in terms of the market, I did enough, and then also ensuring that our money doesn't really go outside.
You want answer? Let's take some more. Mr. Bangisine, please.
Thank you so much. Please, I'm sorry I came late because of a very serious emergency. All right. Number one, economic development. One of the major problems we have as a country and as a state is generation of data. Sometimes I have cause to question some of the data that NBS generates about us as a state, because do me. Now, what measures are you taking, or what measures is government taking to generate its own data that could be acceptable, could be reliable and very credible about everything we are doing in Akwa Ibom? Because if you don't have enough data or quality data, it's likely you are planning to fail. Now, number two, one of the major problems we have in Akwa Ibom is that we make laws, but we don't implement some of those laws, like the anti-grazing laws. You can still see cows eating people's crops in the farm. And when you ask, they said, very highly placed Akwa Ibom people are raising cows to eat our own crops, the crops of the poor, the people we are talking about, these poor people who are planting, by the road, by, villages. What are we doing about these politicians, those who own cows, and they are destroying crops? Number three, we are talking about young people, and we joke about that. I have, as a journalist, and from Akwa Ibom State, I know a lot of young people want to get into farming. And it's not just the soft areas of farming only. One of the problems is getting land. One of the major problems is getting land. How are we going to help our young people who are genuinely interested in farming to get land to cultivate? I think, let me stop there. If I'm given other opportunity, I will still ask them.
Please.
Not taking. Okay, so I'd love to know how many local government areas have so far donated land to the state government. I would also love to know, we need homes to be captured in the social register, and we still have homeless people in Akwa Ibom. What happens to those ones? And then finally, I would love to know how much the state government has budgeted for sustainability and how much for interventions. What's your name? Idong is at Asha Mary, Delhi Independent.
Thank you. We'll take two more questions. Please have in your hand. Yeah, please hold on.
Good morning. My name is Ike Chikujiwe, Station Manager, Passion 94.5 FM. I'm also an OAP. I run the morning flight. I'm the flight captain. I'd like to ask, to complement the question he had asked before, I think security is very essential to food sufficiency. And he spoke about something very fundamental, which is what I've been trying to ask before. We had an anti-open grazing law. What is wrong with the enforcement? Because almost on a daily, if you crisscross radio stations, you have people calling that their farms are being attacked and their crops are being destroyed. And we are talking about food sufficiency. What are we doing to address this concern so we can galvanize food sufficiency? Thank you.
Please, your question. And the lady will ask the last one for now.
Ashomeri actually asked the questions. The first was to the Commissioner for Economic Development. For instance, the federal government would say 75 billion naira earmarked to capture 15 million homes. How much is the state government earmarking to capture these vulnerables? Then the local governments that have donated land, how many, and let's get their names so we can report progress. How many have also individually undertaken this call to action to farm? That's to the Commissioner for Agric.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, the last question.
Naomi Young. I represent the brand Inspiration 105.9 FM. Well, the government is saying a lot of what they need to do in acquiring food sufficiency. And over time, what the people would think would happen after that is food will be at affordable rate in the market. And when it's not like that, it looks like all the intervention, everything the government has done is not working, or they're just saying things. They've also accused the government of what they call demonstration farming. So what I would like to know is there going to be like a market where these farmers that have been assisted will take their produce to so people can go and buy at an affordable rate? Because if you go to the market at the moment, you see our price of fufu is almost going extinct, like a 5 naira note. You see pumpkin is expensive, water leaf is expensive. So is there going to be like a market, just like the Lagos government has a market where people can go at a particular day and buy this produce at an affordable rate? Or are they going to be selling it to particular traders? We just want clarity on that, because at the end of the day, whatever the government is doing, if food is not bought at affordable rates, it will look like nothing was done from the beginning.
Thank you very much. Okay. Lieutenant, your turn.
On the distribution of food items using the social register, like I mentioned, that we have close to 2.3 million people in the social register. Then household, we have about 600. We are using households. Households in the sense that if you want to go by individuals, we will not be able to, some families are larger than some. So that is why we are using households. And household means you being the father or the mother, okay, you have dependents. Okay, so these homes are those ones that we are referring to households, and you have individuals who are the dependents. So if something is given to the father, it is expected that it covers the entire family. If the family is no more, the father is no more, the mom becomes the head of household. If the mom and the dad, the daddy and mommy, they are no more, the eldest child becomes the head of household. So the distributions are done through, we are working with the local government PAs. When the governor started appointed the local government PAs, we did not actually understand the direction that it was going. These people are very, very supportive. They say, and now there's a tablet that has been given to all the local government PAs. These tablets are loaded with the social register of that ward. So, like I told you, the social register is so arranged, very, very arranged. So it is loaded there, and based on the ticket that will be given to their food vouchers that will be given to them, they will, because they are interacting with the people. Don't forget that the governor had directed that all the PAs should go back to the, must reside in their wards, their different villages. So they will use that, pick the people, and the food will, this thing will be given to them. And again, there will be this agents across the local government, whereby it is not going to be a problem to the beneficiary to say, okay, let me go and redeem my food stuff. You have to travel and pay transport to you or Ike, depending on the near. So it is going to be, the agents are going to be picked even in villages, markets, and the rest. So the state government has, the governor directed that we should work with the market union so that we don't take food or their business out of their, from them, okay? Because if the governor now said, okay, let me push all the food items into the market, it's going to affect them. And these are Akwa Ibom people. And like I said, the governor is very, very compassionate. He does not like doing anything that will affect you economically and otherwise. So he said that we should work with them. And while working with them, they should see themselves as partners to the government, to the agency. And that has been able to address the issue of capital flight that we've been trying to talk about. The governor he said, okay, let us work with these people, and they did it. That is in a short term. In a long term, that capital flight will be addressed even better because people have been encouraged to go back to farming. And when they farm, they will now cultivate, they will produce. Then factories, processing factories will be created across the federal constituencies, whereby the bulk purchase agency will be the one to uptake from the farmers under medium term to uptake from this thing, so that you don't have a problem of producing this food. At the end of the day, you don't have where to sell. So the bulk purchase agency will be there to uptake from the farmers under medium term. Then maybe if you have to go to, because even if you see the passion of the governor in palm plantation, okay, he has reactivated Akwa Palm Estate and the rest of it. That is under long term because of the, if you start now to if you plant palm seedlings now, it takes a while for it to go. Then the processes, so the existing ones, the governor is part of the programs to be jointly executed by Minister of Agric and Bulk Purchase Agency to make sure that these processing factories are made available so that we can have a sustainable food security program in the state.
Please make comments on the greenhouse project.
Still doing production in the greenhouse of vegetables. So production is still ongoing. Someone also asked a question about anti-grazing law. We are setting up the enforcement team. It's an issue that came up a few days back. We've been working on it for some time now, because if His Excellency has said everybody should go back to farm and we're making agriculture the mainstay of our economy, it's important that we secure our farms against these herders who come in during the wet seasons. And Ibanga said something about those within the states. So there's going to be prosecution when we find any one of them within the states. So the enforcement team is being set up. We're working in collaboration with the Ministry of Internal Security and Waterways and the Ministry of Justice.
Another question was on the integrity
just before
of
we
data
end on that,
generation.
just before on the issue of anti-grazing, the governor's disposition is first consultation, consolidation before confrontation. There is absolutely no way you're going to do enforcement. Of course, that is clearly confrontational. And the governor has used different channels to discuss with them. And I said so that the last iftar that he had with the Muslim community, he clearly, away from pleasantries, the entire discussion centered on the fact that there were herders who were clearly violating the rights of other people and disturbing the businesses of people. And the Hausa community, the Arewa community, and even those who are involved in cow business undertook to partner the Ministry of Internal Security. So at that point, we would not be accused of witch hunt or anything, because you also need to take care of the exogenous communities that are residents within your space. And so the governor used that opportunity to discuss with them, and we have their commitment, so that wherever we find herders whose cattle are destroying agri products, they have no other name than vandals and criminals and trespassers.
Is there a timeline that we can
That's
say,
why the
okay,
commissioner
consolidation has elapsed,
we finished,
consultation has elapsed, so we now go into confrontation?
We finished the consultation.
Okay.
We finished the consolidation. The commissioner has told you that enforcement will soon happen.
Thank you very much. That is on anti-grazing laws and implementation. Integrity of data generation, like Mr. Ibarisine asked. Is there a way that government is going to generate its own data, something that the citizen can trust, so they can be used for data development?
Save him. What he did when he became commissioner was to do a statistics yearbook, and that gave us the basis of data we're using. But now the state government through the House of Assembly has passed a law where an entire bureau is going to come. But again, the truth is, the disposition of the governor is not to create data as a means of defense. No, it's to create data as a means of development. Well, whatever people are saying, the truth is we are aware that poverty is in existence. We are aware that multidimensional poverty is in existence. The governor also knows, and the ministry agrees, that using data, economic data, we can develop ourselves out of this. And when we develop ourselves out of this, economic security is a feeling, just like real security. And so Emem is working. I saved him from saying it so that it doesn't look as if he's blowing his trumpet.
So,
the Ministry of Economic Development has been ready for that. The governor has given his assurance that he will set up that board. It came up in ESCO last Thursday. It came up in ESCO, and the governor has said that the board for the statistics, the Aquarium Statistics Board, will be inaugurated soon.
So while the both of you are putting your heads together, this one from MC Governor, 2.3 million people in the house, in the social register, and 600 households. He's asking about monitoring and evaluation. How, the chairman wants to answer that.
Let me attempt it, please. The monitoring is the beneficiaries, we've said it repeatedly, are going to be taken from social register, the vulnerable people. The monitoring, the structure, the monitoring and evaluations team has already been made, apart from the one that has been, maybe the chairman will talk about, the one that is doing in this, they are the volunteers. The PAs are part of the people to implement this thing. And the monitoring and evaluation team will be going around because of the parameters set for the evaluation. They will go around to ensure that the right people will
get this food.
We're given the ticket, and the distribution, the agents and the beneficiaries will not compromise.
Thank you. Since we are running out of time, let's have Mr. Chairman speak on that, sir.
As a matter of fact, the Commissioner for Economic Development has said everything, so I don't want to repeat the answer, because our parameter and our strategy is to set up 3 monitoring teams. One for each senatorial district, one for each. So we're going to have 3 monitoring and evaluation teams.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, sorry that I'm cutting, our time is out. How much is earmarked for this, and is there a designated market for the distribution of this foodstuff? That was her question.
Naomi's question was, since we're giving input support to farmers,
also
we'll have
budget
points
for sustainability and intervention.
We'll have sales points where these people will bring their farm produce to sell at very good prices. When I mean prices, favorable prices to all the parties involved. Someone asked a question about local government areas that have donated lands. We currently, out of the 31, we have 7 now. I need to give you the list later because I have some here. I need to check up the rest of them.
Okay. How do we get land for young people?
He talked about land acquisition for young people, and we have emphasized on group formation. If you come together as a group, some of these lands that government has as Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, we
Yeah.
would be able to say, okay, this group, this land is given to you to carry out production.
So you're
in this
saying
planting
if
season.
young people come together,
In
you
groups.
can get them land.
Yes.
If they come together in groups. Thank you. This from X, formerly Twitter. What are the plans to support micro, small, and medium enterprises? You've mentioned that somehow. Maybe you would put a thought to it. And is there a timeline for the kickoff? Commissioner, sir, please. Is there a timeline for the kickoff of the Boom Deep Seaport? And what is the current state of the work? That is for the Commissioner for Economic Development, and it comes from David Ekanem on X.
Let me, because why we give concentration to what we discuss is that we can drill down. If we spread the topic, so if you now go to Ibom Deep Seaport, it has clearly, he just mentioned that when the issue of long-term development that will help with multidimensional poverty happened. So please, we would bring the commissioner for Ibom Deep Seaport special duties to address those issues. So let's drill down on these issues. And I know you're rounding off.
Yes, please. Let's hear from Honorable Onyeka Numana, the consultant to the governor, before you give your closing remarks and we call this a day. Please, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Commissioners, Chairman, and distinguished panelists, and our listeners and viewers out there. I first apologize for coming in slightly late, but I want to commend this initiative. It's a beautiful one, and it's a very good tradition. Let's keep it up so we can keep our people informed. And I want to very quickly come into the food security program, which is the crux of today's discussion. I think is very important, and I'm saying this from a standpoint of knowledge because I've been working with the gentleman on this side probably in the last 1 month or two, and I want to salute the commitment of His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, to making this a success and the hard work of everyone on this side. I think this idea of food sufficiency is not something new for His Excellency. If you followed his Arise agenda, the economic blueprint of his Arise agenda, item 1 on that agenda is poverty reduction. Then you go to 3, which is price stability and food availability. So I think he's following through exactly what he thought out for the state, which has culminated in setting up the agency that he's today put in our Right Honorable Danakwan as the chairman. So what's the plank? Food availability, affordability, and stability. When you achieve those things, then you now move into the deeper things like they did espouse here, which is the back to farm, looking at how to grow agriculture on a more sustainable basis. And all of the things that she's been talking about here is how to extend agriculture and make it more sustainable, so that the off-taking agency will now be in a capacity to off-take the things coming out of our farms and then put in the warehouses and make people make prices come down and make people have food to eat.
Thank you.
So I think so far, so good. The program has started. It started well. Let's all support it. Let's all encourage it. Let's all make it work in our various communities. That way it will be good for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Information, will now give his closing remarks, and I hope that in his thoughts he would explain to people of Akwa Ibom State who are watching us the reasons why they should trust government to make food available, affordable, and stabilize the price of this foodstuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I thank you, Madam Moderator. I thank my colleagues who've come. I thank members of the media community who decided to give this a try. And I'm sure that at the end we'll be living better informed. I know that even if we were to spend 5 hours here, we'll still have some questions coming, but we at least have the basis, the foundation from which would also inform the others, because the agenda setting role of the media is critical. The information role of the media is critical. And therefore, when you're informing, you also do know that you have a duty to inform properly. And like Onyeka Numana, former Honorable Commissioner, said, the first thing is that when we elect a government, we must support that government. One of the easiest ways to support government is to give them benefit of doubt. And I think it was one of my colleagues who said that the challenge with new ideas is that when it happens, the first thing people come at it with cynicism. So I'm sure that the social register thing also, like said, when it came newly, people were like, you know, and now that almost every intervention is being based on the social register, people are now saying, so how did we do it? But this has been around for the past 8 years. But giving credit to His Excellency the Governor, who has mandated the Ministry of Economic Development to do all they can to ensure that, because vulnerability is an ongoing process, it's not a static process. And like would always tell you, that the register cannot be shut. Why it can't be shut is that there are people who were vulnerable yesterday who, by reason of government intervention or personal intervention in their circumstances, are no longer vulnerable, and we can't give them things meant for the vulnerable. There are people who previously, before COVID, were not vulnerable, and by reason of COVID and other things have become vulnerable, and therefore you must include them, which is why it's an ongoing process. So I also do know that the trust deficit is a global issue between the governed and those who are governing. But when we come to a point like this where we are faced with a threat to our collective existence, hunger is a threat to collective existence, and the rich is hungry, the poor is hungry. And the truth is, if you think that the rich is comfortable, it's a lie, because the amount of money they now use to feed in their homes is a lot more than they used to do before. So it's a collective threat to our existence, which we must look at it. So the governor, Pastor Mobasi, is committed to ensuring that food, we attain not just food sufficiency, food security, but we get to a point where we can begin to attain local export status, where we can also export. You do know, for example, neighboring states, our Cross River State neighboring state has attained some degree of exports in some products, in some food items. When you look at Benue, when you look at some of those places, so we can attain both internal exports, local exports, and international exports. Recently, when the mayor of Southwark came, he came and looked around and said, look, the things you guys have here are things that sell for so much in the UK. And he started opening up discussions with local government chairmen and saying, look, I can give you access to the market. But the governor is saying, look, we must first eat here, because immediately you now begin to make these food items compete at the international level with pounds. So we do assure you, and we hope that you continue to give His Excellency the desired support. Someone spoke about budgeting. Budgeting is a fluid process. When you are talking about budgeting for intervention, I think it was my sister Idea Shamiri who spoke to that. Budgeting for interventions. There's what is called a reserve vote, which gives the governor the opportunity to respond to unforeseen circumstances. So that is basically where spending for interventions will come from. But when you look at sustainability, the entire budget is a sustainability budget, because the entire budget is moving from both short, medium, and long term. So when you compare the entire budget for all the line ministries, that becomes a sustainability budget. But within that still budget, you discover that there are provisions made for the unforeseen. But the more important thing is not the budget, because that is it's something that you're not certain will happen. But the more important thing is what Basif Reke and Ekemini Simon have made their friends, which is their Accountant General's yearly report. If you look at the Accountant General's yearly report, for example, for 2023, we can now begin to drive down to say, what were the interventions and how much was spent? What were the sustainable projects that were done and how much? So let me now finally, on behalf of all of us from the aspect of government, thank you, our dear people and colleagues and friends, and hope that this conversation will continue. Our OAPs, as you take calls, you now have more information, and the Ministry of Information is totally available, that you have information coming, newer information coming from the people you interact with directly. Our hotlines are open, my lines are open. We would also feed them back, because irrespective of the monitoring and evaluation mechanism you put on ground, there is no monitor that will be better than the citizen monitor, because he's there at the time when the thing is happening. Let me thank the event manager, Boran Obasi. He wasn't acting as public secretary of the PDP. He was acting like the professional he is to manage this entire event and make sure that we had an excellent primary audience here. We must also thank the secondary audience who are listening to us through all the radio stations that we engaged, and those who are on Twitter Spaces, those who are on Facebook. Let me thank Solomon Eyo, Executive Governor on digital broadcast, who has been helping us to broadcast this. Finally, I thank His Excellency the Governor for the privilege of appointing us and approving that we should be here. to speak to you. I thank all of you. Moderator, please.
Thank you very much. And that brings to an end the program Arise Scorecard Season 1.0, where we're focusing on food sufficiency and security, the intervention and sustainability strategy of Governor Umoino. I would like to thank the discussants and indeed the gentlemen of the press for being cooperative and making sure that we had just a smooth and information sharing session that was absolutely seamless. Again, to Borono and his team, thank you so much. This has been seamless and beautiful, I hope, for all of us. At this point, we'd like to say goodbyes and let's continue the conversation by keeping hope, strength, and faith with this administration. Ultimately, to have food available for all of us and have it at an affordable price. Good afternoon. I am Sebasi Valentine. Bye-bye now.